Raise your hand. What about the other couple raise your hand?
They know what to do.
Hey Matt, I think when people think of different players, since you've been the coach, Robbie Hummel, Zach Edey, Braden Smith, each one where those names come to mind, but in his own way, has Caleb kind of defined what this program is?
Yeah, I think anytime somebody is a part of success, I think a lot of times when you have to, play a role, and you get defined with personnel, with the great players and how you mix with those guys. And sometimes it gets difficult, right? So you kind of look at Travion Williams, Jaden Ivey, Zach Edey, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer. And so for him, I think it gets looked at as just kind of a standard of excellence on and off the court. And for him, being defined through his adversity, because he had a lot of success, but there's some personal adversity there, like you don't play as much as you did earlier, you didn't play as much. And so for him to end his career by being part of that spark when we went to Minnesota and getting going and playing better, really defines him. But it also defines him in how he handled himself when things didn't go his way. And so I think that's it's the big picture. It's taking an opportunity and having a scholarship and not just getting a degree. It's trying to have a better life, right? And understanding right from wrong. And he was raised the right way. Education's important. Family is huge, to him. So honor to coach him. Good dude across the board.
Kind of along those lines, of all the things that went in your favor in the second half of this game, you kind of dominated the glass. It was a big part of that. How important was that in the big picture of this game turning in your favor?
Yeah, it was huge. We can't get to that point of getting in transition and getting them on their heels if we don't get turnovers or we don't get rebounds. And now we're getting ready to have, maybe the greatest challenge in that area, because Illinois is one of the best rebounding, if not the best rebounding team in the country. They put on an exhibition the other day when crashing the glass and just being quick to the basketball and being physical. And but I thought our guys were great. I thought they did a great job, and then we were able to get them switching defenses and get some things in transition. So we were able to score in transition. We got them switching defenses, trying to slow us down. And our guys were just fundamentally sound. They just made the right play, moved the basketball, and took the shots that came their way.
And I think I know shooting comes and goes, but this is the second straight game that you shot 50% from three. Clearly, part of that is how they guarded you tonight. You had a lot of clean looks, but how valuable a spark can that be late in the season to see the shots going in at the rate that they're going in right now?
Yeah, as long as you understand how you got to that point, you made good decisions, you executed, because you want to keep getting good shots. And the more you get, the more quality shot you get, the better chance you have it to go in. So don't think about hey, I'm going to shoot more in this next game. No, I'm going to shoot when I get in rhythm and I get my shot. And that answer is different for each guy. Everyone has a different skill set. Sometimes there's more similarities than differences, but that's what you have to be able to do. Don't have predetermined thoughts. Play the game. Be efficient. And I thought tonight we were really efficient. I thought the guys that Fletch and Braden both took 25. They took 25 threes and between them. But outside of one by Braden, I thought 24 out of 25 were good shots. And that's what you want to do. You want to be able to. You're gonna have to ride your defense and rebounding at some point. You just are. You're gonna get into games, and can we get into those games and grind it? But if you're making shots and you're setting your defense, now you're really giving yourself, that advantage, because now they're not stealing points on you in transition.
What determines a good second half, especially a good start to a good second half? I mean, is it speech, X's and O's?
Obviously, we got good shots and the ball went in. And we were able to make it. We were fortunate, because sometimes you get good shots and you don't shoot that high of a clip. But I thought we were able to, steal their spirit right there and get the game to 17, 18, 19, 20 points real quick. And anytime you're able to do that with that little surge right there, sometimes the game's tied and you have an 8-0 surge where you're down 8 points. It's not that big a deal. You prefer not to be there, but it's not that big a deal in the great scheme of a game and how it goes up and down. But when you're up 9 and you do that, now you're up 17, and then you just start adding to it, and then they start, they try to adjust, and with that, our guys made good decisions. But everything always looks better when the ball goes in.
Matt, I thought today was a good showing of how you guys were effective both in half court and transition.
Right.
Your ability for the offense to be good in both levels, what does that allow you to do against different types of teams?
Right, yeah, because you want that balance, and sometimes the balance doesn't present itself if you're not forcing turnovers. I think the Wisconsin game is probably the greatest example, is that we were really good in the half court offensively. It just didn't appear that way because they were great. But from a defensive standpoint, we couldn't get stops. So now just think of that game and we get 7 to 8, more stops. And now how does it, well, you win the game, and so like you got to give yourself opportunities, to be able to get out in transition. You got to get them on their heels some way. You can't just go at people in the half court the whole time. If you do, it gets really hard against quality people.
Speaking of 8-point surges, they have one possession around the train flavor. But then on the other end, Chikari hits the and 1-3 and converts that. And just
Right.
even on a night where you have this prolific night from your three biggest guys, how big was it to get something like that at that juncture of the game, maybe from
Right.
somebody like that, and spark something?
Yeah, just, I thought our bench was really good, not just making shots. I thought they did some really good things, and obviously we were better in the second half defensively than we were in the first half. But, just staying with it, taking shots that came their way, I think that was more than anything. Miles made a couple right away. So Miles subbed himself in the game to start the game. I thought that. If you can pull that off, I thought it was beautiful. Like, think about that. If you can just sub yourself in, that wouldn't be chaotic, would it? He's like, Matt, I heard you say my name. I'm like, no, but it's a hell of a try. You got a shot up too. I love it.
Subbed him right out then.
Yeah, I kind of sat there. I was stunned. I took a poll, like our assistants. I said, like, did CJ say he was hurt and he just subbed out, like whatever? And they're like, CJ, are you hurt? He was like, no. And I'm like, I'm just trying to find an answer that made sense to what he did. But I mean, good for him. Like that, he's grown a lot. Like if you can finagle it, get yourself in there. What can you do when you check in, right? Hey, I didn't have permission from the coach. I didn't care. You don't have to take a note to the scores table. So I thought we grew in that area.
Coach, back here, 100 points against Rutgers. How much does that give you guys confidence going into the Illinois game, but also the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, you have, each game, different style, obviously different venue, playing on the road. I think it gives us confidence in our decision making more than anything. I thought we made good decisions, but that's going to be a tough game on Friday. But just for us, I think you really want to look at the last 6 games, right? We weren't very good in the second half in our 4-game losing streak. We were better in the second half, obviously, in the last 2 games. You got to play a 40-minute game, and we weren't doing that before. We put ourselves in position to win all of those games. Like, we were not out of it. Sometimes you go on the road, you just have a bad, experience where you just weren't there. It wasn't your night. In our 4-game losing streak, that wasn't the case. Obviously, we had a couple second halves that were poor, but you're at the halfway mark, in a game, that's when you're going to make adjustments. You're like, hey, this isn't working. But when you're up 12 or you're, up 6, I forget what the Michigan score was, but we're up 1 against Wisconsin. We're down 2 or 3 against Michigan State. So that was it, just like that consistency. So it's been good. We didn't take off and run away from UCLA, but we maintained and we hung in the game. So I think that built confidence, and then we closed the game out really well. We made shots at the end of the UCLA game. We were good at the start of the second half. We were about as good as we can be. And so I think that's a positive for us to really build off of.
Have you ever seen an 8-point possession?
I don't think so. I said it when it happened. I said, they're going to hit a 3 right here. It's going to be 8 points in presto. It just seemed like it was going to, obviously, they hit it and he had the F1 right. Then they hit another 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely an F1.
Just Caleb on the boards. Obviously, it's such a huge part of his role. What does he need to do to make that more consistent moving forward?
Go get him. Go get it. You know, get angles, understand where the ball's coming from, pick up the flight of the ball and go get it. Embrace the physicality of the game, work people out from the baseline and like on short shots, on long shots, just be active as you can be, because long shots go long and short shots go short, right? Most of the time. And just go after it. You know, Coach Lusk was on him and just said, like, you know, hey, we need to get 8 to 10 boards from you here. And you know, the fact that, look where Cam, well, you know, Cam didn't have a big rebounding game, but Cam didn't play as much. You know, Cam really helped us in the previous game. And so, like, we got to get it collectively. Obviously, we out-rebounded by 14, but that wasn't the case to start the game. We got to do a better job starting the game rebounding. But it was great to see him get 9 and TK get 8.
Last one, Casey.
Matt, Braden's 13 to 23 from 3 the last two games. Just that aggressiveness and what it opens up for everyone. And was it just what the defense gave him, or is this something you're seeing from him aggressively?
You know, a little bit of both. Anytime they're switching defenses and they're going to zone you, you're going to get, you know, some catch and shoots maybe you wouldn't get against man-to-man. Obviously, we really do a lot of different ball screen actions where he comes off. You know, we really want him to come off there pulling the trigger, because when they're taking that away, that opens up alleys for him to pass, especially, you know, short rolls and pocket passes to TK. I thought TK's decision-making was really good. I mean, he found guys at the rim, he shot his floater. You know, when he gets comfortable there and just kind of has a pause, that's when he makes a decision, because they've put 2 people on the ball with Braden, and so automatically you're in a 4-on-3 situation. They can handle it, you know, differently. They help up, you got the dunk. All right, they come from the opposite corner, you got the spray out 3. You know, they come ball side, now they can play cover 2 over there, and then you got to be able to, like, just kind of figure it out. But if you get a dive when that happens, that's normally going to pull that guy over in cover 2, and then you can just skip it or hit that guy if they ignore him. But at some different angles where it comes to him at the nail or around the elbow areas, you know, a lot of those guys can't make that little shovel shot. And that's what separates him. You got to honor that. Like, he shoots that at about a 60 to 70% clip, and you got to honor, you know, him shooting that. So a lot of times people will just stay home, make them dribble, and then they don't have the ability to make those, and they stay home with the threes. So his decision making and his maturity in that area really helps us, because what it does for us is Braden's such a great decision maker, and now he's grown as a decision maker. You know, in a different sense, he kind of plays that point forward. If they play ball screen defense, where we can get the short rolls. That's what people kind of look at and say, well, why didn't you short roll this game? They're not letting us short roll. They're taking that away, and that's where Braden's got to be aggressive when they take it away. So, thank you.